Hey, it's crazy when you loan somebody some money, but you gotta get them a deal to get your money back. That shit be crazy. Gave a nigga 500. I'm like, man, look, it's been too long. Just give me 350. Fuck.
The case surrounding Romeca Blackmon had already been filled with heartbreak, courtroom tension, and unanswered questions. But just when people thought they had heard everything, a new claim surfaced. One that shifted the conversation in a completely different direction. According to recent discussions connected to the case, Carlos, a figure whose name has been tied to the ongoing situation, reportedly made a statement that caught many people off guard. He claimed that he needed control over Romeca's insurance policy. The reason? He said he had been getting robbed and extorted. For many people following the case, this explanation immediately raised eyebrows. Why would something like that be connected to an insurance policy? And more importantly, how does this relate to the tragic loss of Romeca Blackmon? As the information began circulating, reactions quickly spread across social media. Some people questioned the timing of the claim. Others wondered if this was part of a larger story that had not yet been fully explained. For Romeca's family, however, the focus remained on something much deeper. They are still grieving. They are still trying to understand what happened to their loved one. And now, hearing new claims involving financial matters has only added another layer of confusion and concern. Legal experts often explain that in cases involving insurance policies, there are strict processes that determine who has authority and how those decisions are made. Any sudden attempt to gain control can quickly draw attention, especially in a case already under public scrutiny. As more people begin asking questions, one thing becomes clear. This new development is not just about money. It's about understanding the full picture behind everything connected to Romeca Blackmon. And as we move into the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at how this claim started and why it's now becoming a major talking point. Before we continue, make sure you like this video and subscribe to True Crime Files so you don't miss the next update in this developing story. The claim about the insurance policy didn't appear out of nowhere. It slowly began to surface through conversations tied to the ongoing case involving Romeca Blackmon. And once it did, it quickly became one of the most talked about developments. According to people following the situation, the issue reportedly came up during discussions about financial responsibilities after Romeca's passing. In many cases like this, insurance policies are meant to support loved ones left behind, covering expenses, easing burdens, and helping families move forward during an incredibly difficult time. But this situation seemed different. The claim connected to Carlos suggested that he needed control over the policy due to concerns about being robbed and extorted. While that statement may sound serious on its own, it also raised a number of important questions. How is the insurance policy structured? Who is officially listed as the beneficiary? And why is this request being made now? For many observers, the timing felt unusual. The case itself is still under public attention, with legal proceedings and emotional court moments continuing to unfold. Introducing a financial claim into the conversation at this stage only added more complexity. Supporters of Romeca Blackmon began sharing their concerns online. Some questioned whether this was a misunderstanding, while others wondered if there was more to the situation than what had been publicly explained. Meanwhile, Romeca's family remained focused on honoring her memory and seeking clarity about everything surrounding her case. For them, the insurance policy is not just a financial matter, it represents something tied to Romeca's life and legacy. Legal analysts often explain that situations involving insurance claims can become complicated, especially when multiple parties are involved, or when circumstances surrounding a person's death are still being examined. As more details begin to surface, one thing is certain. This issue is far from simple. And in the next chapter, we'll explore how people close to the case are reacting to this new claim, and what it could mean moving forward. As news about the insurance policy claim spread, emotions quickly intensified among those closest to Romeca Blackmon. For her family, the situation felt deeply unsettling. What was already a painful journey filled with unanswered questions was now becoming even more complicated. Relatives and supporters began voicing their concerns, not just privately, but across social media and community gatherings. Many felt that introducing financial matters at this stage shifted the focus away from what truly mattered: justice and truth. Some family members reportedly questioned the reasoning behind Carlos wanting control over the insurance policy. While his claims of being robbed and extorted sounded serious, they also raised doubts. People wanted clarity, proof, and a better understanding of the situation before accepting such a request. At vigils held in memory of Romeca, emotions ran high. Supporters gathered with candles, photos, and heartfelt messages, all centered around honoring her life. In those moments, the talk of insurance felt out of place to many. Online, the conversation grew even louder. Some individuals defended Carlos, suggesting that if he truly felt unsafe, his concerns should be taken seriously. Others, however, believed the explanation didn't fully add up. The lack of detailed information only fueled speculation, with people asking more questions than ever before. Legal observers pointed out that disputes like this can become complicated quickly, especially when emotions and financial interests intersect. In situations like these, transparency becomes critical. For Romeca's loved ones, though, this wasn't just about legal procedures. It was personal. They wanted answers, accountability, and above all, respect for Romeca's memory. As pressure continues to build, all eyes are now on how this claim will be handled moving forward. Will there be clear answers, or will the uncertainty continue to grow? In the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at how this situation could unfold legally, and what it might mean for everyone involved. As tensions continued to rise, what started as a concerning claim quickly turned into a potential legal battle surrounding the legacy of Romeca Blackman. The issue of the insurance policy was no longer just a topic of discussion. It was becoming something that could require formal legal intervention. At the center of it all was Carlos, whose request to take control of the policy raised serious questions that only the legal system could properly address. In cases like this, insurance policies are governed by strict agreements, documents that clearly state who the beneficiaries are and under what conditions payments can be made. Legal experts often emphasize one key point: ownership and access to an insurance policy cannot simply be transferred based on personal claims or external threats. There must be documented proof, proper authorization, and in some cases, a court order. This is where things began to get complicated. If Carlos was not officially listed as the beneficiary, gaining control of the policy would require a legal challenge. That could involve presenting evidence in court, demonstrating a valid reason for the request, and potentially contesting the original terms of the policy. For Romeca's family, this possibility was deeply concerning. From their perspective, the insurance policy was not just a financial asset, it was something tied to Romeca's life, her future plans, and the people she trusted. Any attempt to alter that arrangement felt like a violation of her wishes. At the same time, if Carlos's claims about being robbed and extorted were genuine, they would also need to be taken seriously. Situations involving threats or coercion can influence legal decisions, but they must be supported with clear and verifiable evidence. Behind the scenes, discussions were likely already happening, lawyers reviewing documents, family members seeking advice, and preparations being made in case the matter escalated to court. Public interest in the case only added more pressure. People were watching closely, analyzing every update, and forming their own opinions about what was really going on. The case was no longer just about unanswered questions. It was becoming a complex mix of legal rights, emotional pain, and public scrutiny. One thing was clear: the truth would not come easily. And as this legal battle begins to take shape, the outcome could have lasting consequences for everyone involved. In the next chapter, we'll explore new details that begin to surface. Details that may change how this entire situation is understood. As discussions around the insurance policy intensified, new details slowly began to surface. Details that added even more complexity to the situation surrounding Romeca Blackman. People closely following the case started pointing out inconsistencies and unanswered questions. Some began asking whether there had been any previous mention of threats against Carlos before this claim was made. Others wondered if there were any official reports or evidence supporting the idea that he was being robbed or extorted. The more people looked into it, the more uncertain things seemed. In situations like this, documentation becomes critical. Claims involving threats or financial pressure usually leave a trail: police reports, messages, or some form of recorded evidence. But as of now, there appeared to be very little publicly confirmed information to support the claims being made. This lack of clarity only fueled public speculation. Supporters of Romeca Blackman began urging for transparency. They wanted clear answers, not assumptions. They believed that if such serious claims were being used to justify access to an insurance policy, then those claims needed to be backed by solid proof. At the same time, others cautioned against jumping to conclusions. They argued that not all details are immediately made public, and that investigations, especially those involving personal safety, can take time. Still, the timing continued to raise concerns. Why now? Why introduce this claim while the case itself is still under scrutiny? For Romeca's family, each new development felt like another layer of emotional weight. Instead of moving toward closure, they were being pulled deeper into uncertainty. And yet, despite the confusion, one thing remained constant: their focus on Romeca. They continue to honor her memory, even as new questions emerge. As more information begins to come to light, the situation grows more intense. In the next chapter, we'll look at how this could impact the ongoing case, and whether these new details could change everything. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Files so you stay updated on every twist in this developing story. As more attention focused on the insurance dispute, a bigger question began to emerge. Could this situation actually impact the overall case surrounding Romeca Blackman? At first, the insurance issue seemed separate from everything else. It appeared to be a financial matter, something that would be handled privately or through civil legal processes. But as discussions grew louder and more details surfaced, it became clear that the situation might not be so simple. In cases like this, every new claim has the potential to influence public perception, and sometimes even legal strategy. The involvement of Carlos in requesting control over the policy, especially under unusual circumstances, raised questions that could not easily be ignored. If the matter escalates into a formal legal dispute, attorneys on both sides may begin examining connections between financial interests and the events already under investigation. Legal analysts often explain that when financial motives are introduced into a case, it can shift how certain actions are interpreted. While it does not automatically prove wrongdoing, it can lead investigators and legal teams to look more closely at timelines, decisions, and relationships. For Romeca's family, this possibility is deeply concerning. They have already endured months of emotional strain, sitting through court hearings and reliving painful moments connected to her death. Now, the introduction of financial complications adds another layer to an already overwhelming situation. At the same time, if Carlos's claims about being robbed and extorted are legitimate, those concerns must also be taken seriously. Situations involving personal safety can carry real consequences, and any evidence supporting such claims would need to be carefully reviewed. This is where things become critical. If proof is presented, it could validate the request and shift the conversation. But if no evidence is provided, the claim may face serious challenges in court and potentially damage credibility in the eyes of the public. Meanwhile, the case involving Romeca Blackman continues to move forward, with each development drawing more attention. What once seemed like a straightforward legal process is now evolving into something far more complex. Multiple questions remain unanswered. Multiple perspectives are clashing, and the truth feels harder to reach than ever before. In the next chapter, we'll explore what people close to the case are now saying behind the scenes, and whether new revelations could be on the way. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to True Crime Files so you don't miss what could be the most revealing part of this story. As the situation surrounding the insurance policy continued to gain attention, conversations behind the scenes began to intensify. People close to the case of Romeca Blackman were now speaking more openly, though often cautiously, about what they believed was really happening. According to individuals familiar with the situation, the claim made by Carlos did not come as a complete surprise. Some suggested that tensions and concerns had been building quietly long before the issue became public. However, not everyone agreed on what those concerns meant. Some sources indicated that Carlos had expressed fears about his safety in private conversations prior to making the claim public. If true, that could suggest that his statements about being robbed or extorted were not entirely new. But without clear documentation or official reports, these claims remain difficult to verify. Others close to the situation were more skeptical. They questioned why such serious concerns had not been addressed through proper legal or law enforcement channels earlier. In cases involving threats or extortion, reporting the issue is usually one of the first steps taken. The absence of publicly confirmed reports has left many people unsure about what to believe. Meanwhile, individuals connected to Romeca Blackman's family continued to express frustration. From their perspective, the focus should remain on Romeca and the ongoing legal process connected to her case. They worry that shifting attention toward financial matters could distract from the pursuit of truth and accountability. At the same time, legal professionals observing the case have noted that situations like this often involve more complexity than what is visible to the public. There may be details, documents, or communications that have not yet been released or discussed openly. This uncertainty has created a divide in public opinion. Some people believe that there is more to the story that has not yet been revealed. Others feel that the available information raises more questions than answers. For now, much of what is being said remains unofficial. Conversations, opinions, and interpretations rather than confirmed facts. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. There are still pieces of this story that have not fully come to light. And as more information continues to surface, the direction of this case could shift once again. In the final chapter, we'll look at what all of this means moving forward, and whether the truth behind everything will finally be uncovered. As the case surrounding Romeca Blackman continues to unfold, one thing has become clear. This story is far from over. What began as a tragic loss has now grown into a complex situation involving legal battles, emotional testimonies, and now, serious questions about financial motives. The issue surrounding the insurance policy has added a new layer that no one can ignore. For many people following the case, the actions and claims made by Carlos remain at the center of ongoing discussions. His statement about needing control of the policy due to alleged robbery and extortion has left the public divided. Some believe there may be truth behind his concerns. Others feel that the explanation raises more questions than answers. But in a case like this, opinions are not what matter most. Evidence is. As legal proceedings continue, any claims made will eventually need to be backed by verifiable proof. Documents, reports, and testimony will all play a role in determining what is real and what is not. Until then, much of the conversation remains in the realm of speculation. For the family of Romeca Blackman, however, this is not about speculation. It is about loss, it is about justice, and it is about making sure that Romeca's story is not overshadowed by confusion or distraction. They continue to attend hearings, speak out when necessary, and rely on the legal system to carefully examine every detail. Through it all, their goal remains the same: to see the truth fully revealed. Public attention has played a major role in keeping this case in focus. As more people continue to watch, discuss, and question what is happening, the pressure for clarity only grows stronger. And that pressure matters. Because in cases like this, transparency can make all the difference. The coming weeks and months may bring answers, or they may bring even more questions. But one thing is certain. The story of Romeca Blackmon will not be forgotten. People are watching, people are waiting, and eventually, the truth will have to come to light. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to True Crime Files so you stay updated on every development as this story continues to unfold.